Hey ladies, as you can see, I have set myself in a specific area in my home, and I have some props here with me. And the reason I have this is because we're going to talk about step 3 in our spiritual growth plan. Now, let's just review a little bit. The first thing you did was, well, you agreed to do this with us. Secondly, you got your little notebook or your journal. Thirdly, you started setting goals, okay? And these goals are areas of growth that you want to see in your life, and they can be in different areas of your life. And we're focusing mostly on some spiritual areas, but feel free to throw in some other areas as well. Now, the reason I'm sitting here is you can see that I've collected over the years numerous items in my quest to stay in shape. Oh, let me just mention, my dog or cat may walk in and out of here as we're doing this. Just ignore them. And so you see I've got my treadmill. I actually got this for Valentine's Day one year, and y'all may think that's so tacky of Jeff, but I asked for this. And so I got this. I have my stepper. I have my weights. See my little cat coming up and seeing my weight. She's going to get this. I have my Jillian DVDs. Okay, all of these things are things that I purchased, my tools that I got to get myself to a place where I wanted to be physically. And so these things at numerous times in my life have just sat around the house. And I mean, just really collect dust. Sometimes my husband will say, why do we even have that thing in the living room? But you know what? It's always there if I get that burst of energy to go use it. So we have to have these things. We have to have our tools. But until I make a plan and actually start doing those things that I've planned, these things are useless to me. And so a spiritual growth plan, a personal growth plan is going to be useless to you and I unless we really start setting some goals, setting some specific goals, and then start doing them. Okay? And listen, a lot of people said to me, concerning this stuff, oh, Deanna, you must just love to work out. Can I tell you, I hate working out. I hate it. And don't let me give you the false impression that I'm like, faithful to do this 4 to 5 times a week. No. I do it when I can. But that's kind of how I want you to go with your spiritual growth plan. We want to set some goals, and we're going to set goals that are achievable, attainable, not something too much. Like, I am going to work out for 2 hours, 7 days a week. You know what's going to happen? You're going to fail miserably in the first week. That's just how it goes. It's kind of like how resolutions are. So we don't want to go about this that way. So let's go move into our third step of setting up our personal growth plan. Now, just a few things here I want to mention. If you're starting to get your areas, remember areas that you know right away you want some growth in, you've asked the Lord to start revealing those things to you, and it's neat. The Lord's revealing more things to me about those things, and I know He's revealing those things to you. Some of you are telling me that. And then, being brave enough to ask a spouse or a loved one, what's some areas that you think I could grow in? And so you're setting those. Now, we want to start getting more specific about those things. Let me just go down 3 points, and then I'll kind of explain to you kind of through mine what I'm doing. The first thing is to be specific. Okay, you don't want to make these goals too broad and too general. Now, right now they may be very broad and general, but you want to start bringing them down to be a little more specific. Let me give you an example. If you desire to grow in intimacy with God, your goal should be more like this: I want to grow in the inward spiritual disciplines of meditation, prayer, fasting, and study. Then this would be more vague. I want to grow in the spiritual disciplines. You see how the previous one, I stated some areas, some specific areas. Okay, that's what you want to start doing. Start stating specific areas. Now listen, you may not do all of them, but let's just get them down there, okay? We're working this thing. We're preparing this thing. So you want to start getting it specific. You may want to take that vague one and then start listing some specific ways underneath it. Then you want to have it to where it's measurable, okay? To where we can measure some progress. Maybe you want to set up one time a month where you're going to evaluate yourself. Remember I mentioned earlier about examining ourselves? It's our job to examine ourselves. Maybe you want to set up something once a month. Maybe yours is going to be every 3 months. Maybe you want to be gung-ho, and be careful of, you want to check yourself every week, okay? Maybe you want to have an accountability with someone. Maybe you're already saying, listen, I'm going to join you, Deanna, in your lunch and learns throughout the course of this year, and that's going to be my accountability. But some way to measure these things in a broad way, and then how to measure them specifically. You may want to be like, I want to memorize, so much of Scripture. Now that's a thing where you don't want to get too big. You don't want to bring that down, specific ones that the Lord's drawing you to memorize. But maybe you want to okay, there's this one passage I want to memorize. I'm going to do one verse a month because there's 12 verses in that passage. Or maybe there's 24 verses. I'm going to memorize 2 verses a month, okay? So you want some way to measure this and evaluate it. And then you want your goals to be achievable, okay? This is my thing. Start with fewer goals and smaller goals. If they get too big, don't set out and, wanting to conquer the world in this. Just as maybe Lord's given you a bunch of things, but you're like, whoa, there is no way I can conquer all those things. Just choose a few that are really the pressing ones, in different areas of your life. So be specific, somehow form a way of measuring these things, and then make sure they're achievable, that you can actually do them so you don't get discouraged. Now, you're saying, I'm still struggling in my areas. Let me help you. Let me give 4 areas that may help you. 4 areas that you want to have growth in. It may be in your relationships. Think of your relationships with different people. You want to conquer some things there. You want to be more loving, or you want to be more giving, or you want to spend more time. Maybe it's just in time. I want to really just focus on, having some time to do this, spend with my family. I want to get some of this stuff out of my life. My time it's just a mess. It's chaotic. The day slaps me, and I'm at the end of the day, and I wonder what I was doing. Maybe you want to set some goals in your time, or your money. It could be in the area of money, or like we've been talking about with God. Some areas with God. So maybe that'll help you in some areas of growth. Now, let me just real quick just share with you in some of my areas. One of my areas was, in general, help me to put to death the deeds of the flesh. Now, don't think I made that up myself. I was listening to something, and that comment, that phrase came across. I'm like, that's what I want. So I put under that areas to deny myself. Because I say yes to myself so much. I want to find the areas where I need to deny myself. And some of those came through my scripture verses. Remember, I said to get your scripture verses. I had Romans 8:13, Galatians 5:16 through 17 under that. And so through those verses, some things jumped out at me. I want to deny myself in the area of jealousy and anger toward other people, strife, envy, some of those areas that, I struggle with. And I want to start putting those deeds to death. I want those deeds of the flesh to be put to death. Another area that I have is, remember I told you about, where is my heart deceiving me? That was my general. Okay, I came down more specifically when I got my verses, and I put down here, I'm going to ask God about this and listen for the answer. And these are the 2 things I'm asking. Why do I do what I do? Why am I the way I am? And asking the Lord to reveal in those areas where my heart is deceiving me. And then I put under that the thought, my emotions that are exhausting me, which ones are based on lies? I have certain emotions that just exhaust me because they just, they dictate me, and I don't want that anymore. And so where are my emotions lying to me? And so I'm starting this process, and I've got these thoughts, and I've got these verses written. And in my little notebook, what I did was, here was my 1, and then I put a little post-it note there, and then I kind of flipped 5 pages to give myself 5 pages to write all kind of notes under that specific goal. And then I put the next one. Then I listed that one, and then I gave myself 5 empty pages so then I could write things under that one. So what you're starting to do now is you're starting to be more specific about your goals. Setting your goals, listing your verses underneath of it that you're going to use for it, and then starting to be more specific about how you're going to achieve those goals. So I hope you do better than me in your spiritual growth plan than I have done with these tools right here. And let's just encourage each other. Let me hear what's going on with you. Post it on our blog. Make those comments. Encourage other ladies. You can comment on other ladies' comments. So encourage ladies if you see them struggling with the same things that you're struggling with. So here we go. Step 3 of our personal growth plan. Go at it, ladies.